My name's Dr. Joseph Toscano. I'm the widower of the late Ellen José. We were together for over 45 years. A well-known artist, a pioneer in the urban Indigenous art movement, a radical activist, a social justice campaign anarchist. She was an extraordinary human being, and the family felt that it was appropriate that we did something in order to honour her legacy, but more importantly than honouring her legacy, to assist up-and-coming young female artists.
I don't usually apply for award acquisitions. I don't usually do that stuff, but something drew me into this one, and I think it was her, because I think I really saw myself in her work and I really connected to her that way. I make art because it's the way that I make sense of the world around me. I make art for my community, for my mob, but I also make art for me. I love the way that video is able to capture and shows the way that we are, the way that our bodies react to our materials, the way that our bodies react to being on country, the way that our bodies react to being with one another. And I think the moving image is able to capture things that maybe can't be captured any other way.
So I've created this work called Edges of Place. It's a 3-channel film installation. This work is quite a personal work. It sort of looks at this sort of first chapter or this first tier of what home means. This broader work is about this condition of how do we perceive home, especially with different contexts and experiences. It's really exciting to just be able to curate this kind of multi-channel projection, because that's also part of that emotional immersion. How do you create that? Which is also tapping into my other kinds of research in new digital art and how can we create empathy in this way.
In terms of Ellen José's activism and her art practice, I'm inspired by that resilience and that commitment to speak for what you believe in, and fight for it. The way that my process works as an artist is through the use of language, and that's how I retain a connection with my family, who are all geographically apart, through engaging with day-to-day conversations, so either in a WhatsApp message or a telephone call or a voice recording. I'll often use that as the key inspiration for a new body of work. I wanted to find out about my great-grandmother from my grandmother's side. And often in that process, I'm sort of searching for a very poignant statement, or almost something that kind of captures the essence of a person through poetic sentiment. This is the second time I've created works of this scale, but it is the first time where the textile works have taken on a more sculptural, more organic sort of feel in their installation. The paintings hold a multitude of symbols that relate to the stories that were shared with me, but then the textiles themselves are almost embodying the energy of the characters in the paintings.
We still need to look at things, touch things, be excited by things. I think looking at a screen isn't as satisfying for the individual because it doesn't use all the individual senses. You can walk into an installation like Gorgeous, which is one of the finalists, and there are things you can do in that installation which you could never do virtually.
It's a huge honour to be showing with this group of artists. When I walked in here, the literal scale of the work and of people's ambition and commitment is full on, and it's just awesome when you get a particular type of platform and then you can really test and play and push it out. What is possible in the relationship between a viewer and an artwork? I think there's this ability to convey emotion, to speak to a character, a mood. I think this is a very playful show, yeah.
Another one, you could see Emma Singer's oils, and you could look at that and you can see layer upon layer of meaning, which you would never pick up in a virtual sense. No virtual image, no photograph, no fancy, computer program can actually replicate the reality of seeing, smelling, touching.
Malayangu nyakujagu kapi chukula dreaming janaba karu nyakujagu chukula jana kilinandaku malajangu chukula kilinan kujagu nyara balun jananya like ngayulo painting balani cause ngayulo I wanna teach my kids generation balujana like to paint paint I mean kujagu like jamu kamilo jana nidida nganu nanya au paint amindaku how to paint and nganu nanya to keep our culture.
I love making large-scale multi-panel works to capture that kind of immersive, intense and powerful kind of feeling that I get from being in nature and walking at the threshold of rock and water. And then I really like how, you can kind of have the image dissolve as you move closer and move further away, and it comes into focus and you can appreciate the depth looking across the bay into the distance and those headlands which have inspired the idea of the blue of distance, both kind of as we experience it in the environment, the place on the horizon that we can never quite get to, but that conceptual idea of me thinking back to past experiences with my family, as well as working at the distance of my Canberra studio, making work about Yuin country on the New South Wales south coast.
Bayside Art Gallery's done a great exhibition. They've put together a wonderful catalogue. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for young artists. And if you're not happy with who the winners are, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that these 6 young women have had the opportunity to showcase their work to the world. And hopefully they will continue in their careers and not stop their art practice because of financial considerations or constraints which are put on them by society, or constraints which are put on them as women, as they have families and enter into relationships, that they, like Ellen, continue to the day they die.